live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's another episode of Adventure Maidens, episode 26. Woo. Wow. 26. That's a good age, I feel like. It's a good age. You're kind of like out of the weirdness of like figuring out who you are. You're starting to like kind of land.
Definitely.
I'm not constantly over withdrawing my bank account every single week.
You're like, oh no, I finally understand how credit cards work. I need to fix that. That's 26. Oh gosh. Well, welcome back. Other than really great life advice that we give you about credit cards, we also do a podcast, a stream and a podcast, D&D 5th edition. So hey, you're on episode 26 of our favor campaign. So it's a very Fae-inspired campaign that has a lot to do with obviously trading favors, earning favor, losing favor, all that kind of good stuff. Before we dive into the recap and, get into the action, I do want to warn everybody that this is a very mature themed stream, so you can expect descriptions of graphic fantasy violence. We keep a couple of different content warnings up. We always have a body horror one up just because the nature of the beast. We also have some darker themes that are going to be coming up in this episode in particular. Things like maybe references to harm to children, grief, psychological horror are all going to be things that will likely come up in this episode. So if any of those triggers are just not going to work for you, this may not be the show for you to watch or listen to. But with that, let's dive in. Hey everybody, my name is Celeste Conowitch, and tonight I will be your dungeon master.
Hello, I'm Katie, and I'm going to be playing your ghostly rogue drow, Luberry Sath.
Hello, I'm Nassim, and I am playing your thirsty half-orc fighter, Tony Silvertail.
For blood.
Lady needs a drink.
And she happens to be a tall glass of water.
And I am Sage, and you're playing your Fae, balmy bard, Aoife Flannery.
Yes, we have all this good monster energy, and last time it was our first episode as level 5, and boy, y'all slayed! So I have all the confidence in the world that you walking into this Archfey place of power, dungeon, center of her dwelling, will be totally fine. I think it'll be totally fine. How are you all feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Gut check. You're like 10 out of 10, no problem.
Ready to cruise on through this dungeon. You kidding?
Yeah.
Born ready.
Child's
I feel
play.
good, and I feel like that will change shortly.
Child's play. It's all good. No, it'll be great. But yeah, let's see. Let's see how this goes. We were rolling hot last time. Maybe not this time. Who knows? So yeah, before we can dive into the action, we got to give a recap, kids. What happened last time? Some big stuff. We learned some stuff, huh?
We took our horses, and we were all horse girls for once.
Yep. Beautiful. And magical.
Yeah, we basically rode those horses until we were like not too far off the castle, and we ran into basically what looked like a massacre from afar, but we found lots of just corpses of undead zombie-like creatures who were newly dead again, and the corpse of Midnight, the beautiful riding horse that we found out that most likely Gwen had stolen to go to this castle. We decided to move on after we noticed that there were big, like, animalistic paw prints, which we assumed to be Rook, since we kind of put together that she had a special werewolf form. And we finally were able to make it to the castle, which had like all sorts of like magical, like foggy, ultra creepy effects on it.
Very weird, super weird Gothic horror castle.
Yes, beautiful. Would love to have a photo shoot there, though.
Love it. Yeah.
And Lou was able to use her ghostly abilities once again, mastering the phasing skill to get through the big, thick gate that was in our way and open it up for the rest of the crew so that we could go in and witness this big fighty fight in this first room with Rook as a big giant werewolf badass bitch fighting this fountain ornament of a swan that had come to life and was attacking. And on her back, she had Gwen, who, as we looked at her and like took in her appearance, we kind of made like this vague connection in our heads that this is the same woman from our dreams who has been reading our childhood selves this book about what's happening right now. And we were able to defeat this creature, and very badass, by the way. We
You slayed.
It was
slayed.
so good.
Hardcore.
I was like, this is incredible. I love
great.
level 5.
Great. It had 142 hit points. It was like butter. Like, y'all.
Beautiful. And Gwen was able to explain that she had found out all this information about this place and about the hero from this book that she had found, and she wants us to go with her if we feel up to it. She
definitely gave you an out. She seems like a good kid.
She's a good egg, that one. So that we could go with her if we wanted to help her unravel this and potentially save the champion Penny, who was lost all those years ago.
Damn, that's a good recap. I feel like that covered a lot. Anybody? I think we did it. Cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
Shit. Well, let's dive in, because we got a lot to get through, as you might imagine, stepping into the middle of all of this. So, as we have begun for the last 3 episodes that you've spent in this dwelling, this archphase dwelling, which is the private sanctum of their power, the world shaped by their thoughts, feelings, and imagination. So this very dark world you have stepped into that belongs to Penny Dreadful. We start again with a dream. You all are back in that study, that familiar place, and in your childhood forms, watching this woman who now you have seen walking around as this young girl named Gwen, and you're looking up at her now, I think with a new kind of awareness in the dream. Before, it felt very removed from where you were, like more like a memory, right? A childhood memory. But this time it's a little more grounded, and you have a little bit more awareness of yourselves in this dream. And even enough to kind of look more around this study and the space you're in. And you very quickly realize the other children that were there in this dream, because you were just part of a crowd, they're all gone, and it's just the 3 of you. And that plush rug that was under your feet before, now you're noticing it really isn't so wonderful to be sitting on. It's actually kind of threadbare in places, like just years and years of tread have just worn it down. And all the furniture in the space too, it looks so grand and fine to your child's eye, but now you see a lot of it has just the signs of age and tears, as if it hasn't been well maintained. And even this woman sitting in front of you in the chair, she seems so lovely and just wonderful, maternal even. She looks so much, not really older, but just more haggard. You can see her hair is like piled into this messy bun, and like streaks of gray that weren't there before are running through it. And the book she's holding is weathered and tattered instead of that pristine golden volume from before. And she turns the page and pauses as she's done each time and looks up at you all and sighs. And then she doesn't even ask this time what you think or interact with you all. She just begins to read. With the Guardian defeated and the missing girls found, our heroes had another great task laid at their feet. They entered Castle Dread and... You see she pauses and turns the page and looks at it and flips it back to where she was. They entered Castle Dread and... She pauses and like flips the page and looks back. And looks up from the book. I'm so sorry, children. The next pages are missing. The heroes have never made it this far. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For everything. And the vision fades away. And you are back. In your monster hunting forms, in that place that you had just entered as you moved through the doors. That large room that was like that atrium of these dead, withered trees, and the pages of the frantic scrawling covering the floor and falling occasionally from the ceiling, and these rows and rows of these dead trees before you. And as you take all this in, this very weird room, that might have been maybe like the great entrance hall, of a castle at some point, before it was filled with these trees, you can see a few more details than you were able to note last time. So as you look kind of to the west, you see that the room goes on and on for quite a distance. It's a very large, vacuous room. But to the west, on the left side, there is a archway that you can see that seems to have like a gate around it. And it's very weird. As you're looking at that wall, you can't really see what should be the wall proper ending the room. It just kind of seems to continue in that direction, leading towards some kind of fenced off area, maybe like a graveyard, if you had to guess. And then to the north, through that long rows of trees, like you had seen last time, there are steps that lead up to like an upper landing. And that is where you had seen, far, far away from you through the trees, like a chair sitting there just on that large platform in the far distance. So it seems like now you could go north, up those steps to where that chair is, and you can see there's stuff beyond that too. Like this large room continues. Or you could go to the west towards this archway and investigate what is going on there. But other than the sounds of like crumpling paper beneath your feet and the occasional like falling of a page from the ceiling, it is quiet. It is so quiet in this place.
I would like to pick up one of these pieces of paper, see if there's what's written on there.
Yeah, and
I pick up a couple of them.
Yeah, you do. And as you look at it, so it seems like it's all in the same handwriting. So whoever made these was writing it, but they are about radically different things. And you quickly find you're like, this is like one half of a recipe, it seems like, and then this is like a part of maybe a history book, and then this is maybe some words of a spell. It's like, it's just all kinds of different stuff on these pages, and none of it really seems to make sense, but it was all very frantically written and probably written by the same person.
Well, I think we're just about on top of the
Enigma Codex.
the Enigma
Right.
Codex, yeah.
Yeah, you do remember the Enigma Codex contained every word ever written. It's got to be a huge mix of stuff. And just more of these pages keep coming and stacking up to the floors. And Gwen, you see, has now moved very close to Rook and is kind of like grabbing her around the arm. Rook seems confused, but isn't like stopping her from it. And she says, "What is this place? I mean, I knew magic existed, but what this is, I don't understand."
Any of us really have a strong idea of what's happening here. But
I mean, in all of your worlds, like at least you've seen things like illusions and magic, and you've seen things in the Fae and amazing things. And if this girl was part of this like little medieval, society, like this would be appalling. Probably the most magical thing she's ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like whatever the source of all this magic is that's running this place. It's incredibly warped at this point, and hopefully whatever we're here to do will make this less horrifying. But we have to start somewhere, so
Okay.
what'll it be, folks?
Yeah. Gwen, you say that, and she goes into like this very quiet mantra. She's like, "It's not real. None of it is real. It's demons. It's illusions. None of this is real." She's just saying over and over quietly to herself.
Oh, how
Like
right
if we in real people, like in real people society, we're like, well, we tell kids like this isn't real. Like this is not. It's the best she can
Lou
do.
suppresses her biggest "oh honey" look.
Yeah.
Well, and you said before, I believe, that the chair ahead of us, it looked like the chair that we have the memory of that woman sitting in.
Sure does. And I said in the last time I said a red leather chair, but I realized I've been describing it as a rocking chair. It is indeed a rocking chair that is sitting in front of you. It looks like the same chair the storyteller has been sitting in.
I think having that weird memory that went from something so innocent and like simple, suddenly I'm remembering something kind of terrifying at this point. Lou is going to start making her way towards that chair, just wanting to know more of what the fuck is going on. And that's the one thing in her memory from there.
Yeah, so you make your way forward towards, these rows and rows again of these like dead, dried out trees. And yeah, this must have been an orchard at a time because it's like a 24 by 24 row of these trees. And they're all a little different. So maybe they were, fruit trees or something. This must have been magnificent, right? A magnificent space to see in its heyday. But you just walk by row and row and row of these and just more and more of these pages filling the space. And I've already fed my cats. My alarm just went off. Sorry. So you walk by more and more of these rows and trees until you get to those stairs that lead up to the upper landing here. And as you're looking at the room and like the large size of it and everything, this might have been like in its heyday, maybe where the king and queen would have sat, right? And the thrones here looking down at whatever events were going on in the atrium space. So positioned like where a throne would be kind of in the central area is, this rocking chair, which just looks, beat up like something that's been, sitting on a street corner waiting for somebody to grab it for a couple weeks. And right by it is a equally old looking lectern. So imagine like a music stand, kind of looks like that, but made for heavy books. And it is empty currently, but you can see scratched into it. And this isn't part of the design. It's like somebody has taken a knife and scratched into all over it question marks, like of various sizes and like graffiti all across this lectern. And now that you're also here on the upper landing, you can see there is a set of double doors immediately across, so leading to a room to the north, or on the eastern wall, you also see there is a smaller, much less elaborate set of doors.
Getting up to this rocking chair, which I recognize that Gwen has been sitting in our dreams.
Yep.
Does she have like any reaction seeing it at all, or is she just confused?
Yeah, this doesn't register anything more to her. She doesn't seem to recognize it. The whole space is terrifying, and she's still in the middle of that. But yeah, she doesn't seem to recognize the lectern or the chair specifically.
Okay. I guess I'll do an investigation to see if there's like any secret compartments or anything like else that we're missing, like scratched into these in this setup up here.
Sure.
Ooh, that's okay. That's 15.
Okay, so with the 15, you're looking at this thing. You're pretty sure there are no secret compartments or anything. It's a pretty basic lectern, actually. Compared to how elaborate, this castle must have been designed and looked in its heyday, it looks a little out of place. As is this rocking chair. Like, what a weird thing to put like above an atrium. It's all very strange. You can see, you notice that on the bottom piece, like where a book would rest, there is a very clear groove where that must indicate a spine of considerable weight. And that same book with that exact same spine must have been placed on this thing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times to wear it down. So it looks like there's probably like one book in particular that was here quite a bit. And you also know something, and you're not sure if it's just a coincidence or whatever, but there are kind of 5 like other scratch marks just on the edge, like on the right hand side. The only other scratch marks are made into these weird question marks, but they're just like 5 notches on the right hand side that kind of catch your attention as being a little different. But that's
like tally marks, or like,
yeah, almost. It's like someone has just like nicked the edge 5 times with like a knife.
Well, there are 5 of us here currently.
Oh, I don't like where your brain's going. Get that out of there.
Is the chair facing any particular one of those like doorways?
No, it's kind of angled, so you could towards the lectern, so maybe you could look at it, and also kind of towards the front entrance, so maybe you could watch the trees and read the book. Sort of like gives you the angle. It's a position like somebody might sit on their porch if they had a book here and they were looking out over this horrific scene that maybe once was pretty.
Right.
Yeah.
Aoife will suggest to Gwen, with this book stand here, maybe perhaps try setting the book on the lectern and then sitting in the rocking chair. I'm not sure if maybe it's like a trap or something that'll be activated or anything, but
you say that and she's like, I'm happy to give you this, but you all seem a lot more capable. If maybe you would activate a trap, she says. I'm just not sure how well I would do with Rook's like, I'll do it.
Tony will sit in the rocking chair.
Rook's like, okay, well, stealing my thunder, but sure. And she takes the book from Gwen, who looks very grateful to the both of you. And Rook will set it on the lectern, and it absolutely fits into the grooves. It feels like it's exactly the right size book and the right weight. It settles in there. And Tony, yeah, you sit in the rocking chair and nothing happens. You hear like that creak of like a chair that barely, is going to survive under your weight, but it does hold your weight. I will say, Gwen raises a finger. I'm not sure how many pages are missing from the book, but they are all at the back on this side, and she points kind of where the notches are. So maybe that's pages missing? But that seems weird. How would this thing know? How would... She's looking around, just like, I don't know, looking for some kind of explanation that isn't...
As she looks around, like Lou makes eye contact with everyone else who's had this like memory of her before, when she's just like glancing around like, this is clearly a thing. Okay, we're good. And just like composes herself and is like, well, maybe we'll go to the other rooms and maybe they're spread across this place and we can put everything back together and it'll be as simple as that.
Where did you say you found this book again, Gwen?
Well, that's the thing. It was in the church. I mean, it was in the archive. I had to. She crosses herself, which probably makes Tony and Lou feel a little uncomfortable as she does. I had to borrow it, not in a not strictly legal fashion.
It's okay. Sometimes we all got to do a little.
I mean, I fully intended to return it, but if you need it, I mean, it was just gathering a lot of dust. Honestly.
Oh, we've been instructed to bring it back to a very, in Aoife searches for her memory for how to describe Hecate, a high-ranking priestess. So.
Oh, okay. Then I'm sure. Priestess. It's like that word doesn't mean anything to her. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure that's fine then, but we should definitely make sure it isn't damaged. And she goes over and she's like, "Oh, can I take the book?" And she off the lectern. Can I?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's safe. It must have been valuable to be locked away, but this is the only book that talked about, well, anything even remotely magic. So, but yeah, why would this be here? If the church had it, I don't understand what it would have anything to do with why we would find the pages here.
I think the books probably originally came from here. I mean, this is a long forgotten magical castle. Who knows what's come from here?
Yeah, I suppose you're right. And I mean, if the people who did live here, and I'm not even sure who lived in the castle before it was abandoned. Yes, perhaps they were scholars and had a library. That makes a great deal of sense. And she smiles and seems grateful for like a everyday explanation that she can wrap her head around.
Poor sweet summer child.
It's an old magic castle. What more do you want?
She's like, the cloistered monks, and oh yeah, the nobles, of course they would have had magic castle. Mm-hmm. That doesn't really make sense, mm-hmm. But oh boy, yeah, castle. Well, right, makes sense. Library. Where should we go next? She looks up at you all.
So we could check out the graveyard looking area. That seems ominous, but we can find out a lot from the past, so.
Maybe there might be graves for the people who own this place.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. And yeah, she'll fall in step behind you all. Yeah, still clinging to Rook, who actually doesn't seem to mind now that she's gotten used to it. This really pretty.
Got a little honey on her arm.
It's a little pretty girl clinging to her arm. She's fine.
Oh no.
Yeah. And Rook is definitely also not the age that she was when she came in here. This is like her ideal. It seems like her, she's like 24, 25, like kind of, maybe this is like her ideal age. So she actually
So
seems...
it's not weird that they're crushing on each other.
It's not weird. Yeah, it's like, Gwen is clearly, she's maybe like 17, 18 in medieval society. That she's like basically old. She's an old woman at this point. Yeah, so it seems fine. So yeah, Rook seems to be getting actually really used to this world in which she doesn't have to change and has this girl who likes her, and it's great. Yeah, so you can all continue down. So you want to investigate the archway and the mm-hmm. fencing and everything.
Indeed.
Yeah, so you do. And as you move over, it's so weird. It's like the pages on the ground, they're a little bit crunchier here. It almost imitate like the feeling of leaves, like autumn leaves you're stepping over as you pass under this archway. And you see that the archway itself is like a wrought iron thing. So it has just twisted metal carved into kind of decorative leaves and shapes, and you see that letters have been twisted into the arch, and it says "Rest in peace." So you can cross underneath that archway, and you look around at this space, which is again part of that same room and not quite part of it. It feels psychically different as you step over the threshold, and you can see that there are, gravestones just stuck into the stone floor of this place, which is so weird. Not like dirt or anything. And none of the stones are marked as you're walking by them. They just seem to be these fresh stones until you get to one, which is in the very center. And it's not like a tombstone sticking out of the ground like the other ones. It is a big, like, sarcophagus, mausoleum, coffin, rectangular thing that has this decoration of a figure on it. And at first you're like, oh, an angel. And then you kind of look at it again and you're like, not quite. It seems to be like a young girl, and she's got these wings on her back. But there's something just a little bit off about it. She seems to be wearing very like normal clothing, and the wings are a little bit shriveled and like a little different. It's kind of odd. But yeah, it's like so a mausoleum space, so there is a little doorway in front of it. Presumably there's probably a coffin or something else inside it if you wanted to step in.
And the girl figure doesn't look familiar at all to us.
It's hard to say. It's more just like a stone carving, so you can't really pick out, and it's only about a foot tall or so. It's like the decoration that sits, on top of the entrance of the mausoleum.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there's not a ton of detail there.
Okay.
Let's open that door.
Pop on in.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
It creaks open, and you can see it's a very small space inside, just large enough to hold that white, shining marble sarcophagus sitting in the very, very center of it. And you can see, other than the carvings and the lettering on the sarcophagus, the spaces are just very simple on the inside. But you can see written on the sarcophagus is Gwendolyn, beloved daughter. And then there's a carving of a swan below it.
Awkward.
You hear, Gwen in the back. What's in there? It's like a tiny space. You can really only fit like one of you at a time inside. So she's kind of clamoring.
And that's the only one in this mausoleum?
Mm-hmm. So this sarcophagus was special, clearly, to be put in this place.
Do I feel like, with my ghosty senses, is there like any lingering spirit that I could commune with in this space?
Do you want to activate your ghost powers to do that?
Yeah, if that's an option. Like,
sure. I mean, if you are gonna like take the thing to like spend a point, like I'm absolutely going to give you something, because that's not like an easy thing to do, right? So like that's kind of how this works.
Yeah.
There's no, whenever you use it, there's no wrong answer. You are absolutely going to succeed at whatever you do, because you're paying a toll to do it.
Okay, I'll put in checkbox number 3 and see if I can communicate with the spirit here.
Okay. Yeah. What do you imagine this is like? Like, to you, how are you reaching out to the dead around you? Is this like something you just hear? Is there a visual experience? Like, what is that experience like for you? Or a ghost? You imagine a ghost reaching out to other ghosts. What is that like?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like in the back of your mind, like you just hear ringing when there's like another spirit around, not being like a full ghost. It's not something where it's like, hey Phil, but she can kind of focus in on that sound, and it sort of elongates itself until you can hear words formed. And once you accept that it is something, you can start to see those words kind of wrap around and form into a figure as well.
Sure. So you reach out, looking down at this grave and surrounded by so many other graves. In this haunted place, I don't think it takes long at all for your head to just start filling with the rings of so many spirits so many lost spirits who have something they want to communicate to you. And in all of that din and all of the assault of all of those different noises and people trying to reach out, your fellow spirits reaching out to you, there is a distinct absence of a spirit from this coffin. In fact, you don't think there's anyone inside. Whoever this Gwendolyn is, she's not dead.
Ooh.
But there are certainly others from those unmarked graves,
Mm-hmm.
and you know they are furious. Dozens of them. Furious and trapped.
We will try to kind of extend that power out to them and try to like inquire, like, why are you trapped here and why is this an empty tomb? Like, trying to just search for any answers for this weird setup. Just like trying to also like not let Gwen in, like very much so taking up the full space because this will break her.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. Instead of, because there are so many of these ghosts here, what I am going to do is every room you go into, you are going to see and be able to interact with ghosts of this place. I'm going to add that to each room of this dungeon. So as you go through, this will be a benefit that you specifically, nobody else will be able to see these ghosts or ask them any questions, but they will respond to you. So here in this graveyard, it's just the psychic wail of pain. These spirits do not seem to have enough to communicate with you here in this room, but in every other room, there will be spirits that will speak to you because you've crossed off this mark.
Sick.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it's maybe even a self-preservation thing. Like, as you hear all these, like, wailing things, you're like, it would be a terrible idea to open myself up here in this space. You need a more focused energy. Otherwise, you would just lose yourself.
Who knows? One more checkbox.
Yeah. But it is certain, you are certain that Gwendolyn or whatever that meant, whoever that is buried here, whatever idea of a person is buried here, is certainly not dead. And that is something only in the way a spirit would know.
Yeah. Lou kind of turns around and you see as she does, this time her eyes are irisless and pupilless. Oof. And they've just gone full white, along with her purple lips, and just all of her edges have started to become translucent. And she quietly just puts a hand to her forehead and she's like, no one's in there. And she pushes past, just trying to get out of this area.
Yeah, Gwen steps back away from you, kind of watching you, and it's like she looks back at you, Tony, and you, Aoife, like, is she okay? She's giving you, is she okay eyes?
Oh yeah, but we should follow her lead. It's just a fancier, unmarked grave.
Okay. She looks back, one curious glance back, but she doesn't go in. Which probably saved her a crisis. So that's good, as she follows behind you all out of this very creepy, awful place. So, as you step back into that main atrium, you have two choices. You have that smaller set of doors, and then the more to the east off the upper landing, or you have that more ornate set of double doors heading north off the upper landing.
I say
smaller doors?
East,
okay.
Yeah.
Smaller doors?
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. So you go, and as you open up these doors, they don't appear to be locked at all. And so as you open it up, you see that there is a set of spiral stairs, tight spiral stairs, that must lead to another floor.
All right. Ascend.
Yeah. You would guess, like, based on the outside, you thought the castle had 2 floors for sure, and maybe a third that was like a, a smaller room at the top, maybe a balcony or something. Yeah, so you head up these winding stairs, and you find yourselves in... you open up... there's another door right in front of you that would presumably open up onto this floor. Do you open it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you open the door and find yourselves in like a long hallway. And there are all kinds of paintings and other things just lining the walls here. Everything seems dusty and old. And you can see that there are 2 doors that lead off. To the north is a set of elaborate double doors. And then at the far end of the hallway to the west is a set of just one door there. But Lou, you see, unlike anybody else, there is a person in the hall, and she is holding up a feather duster and dusting at the edges of these frames and kind of lifting them up, cleaning them. Obviously, this isn't having any impact because the space is still dusty, but to you and to her, it seems like this is something she is very actively doing. And as you're looking at her, you can see half of her face is like covered in fur, and she has some other like pointed ears and like bizarre, some teeth are pointed or not, in the way the changelings you've seen before. She looks like one of them, and she's wearing this uniform that kind of fits the period, right? So like the black and white servants' maid uniform. And she is dusting away. And as you all come up the stairs, she smiles to you all and gives a polite like servant's nod. Continues about her business.
You did.
Oh, you muted. Sorry.
Lou approaches her and she'll just like quietly whisper, because that's just the feeling you get in this place.
Right. It's so quiet. It is so quiet. And as you approach, she does a little curtsy. Madam?
Hi. Could you... What happened here? It seems to have fallen... I mean, nothing you did or anything, but it seems to have fallen into disrepair in this building. Where is everybody and what happened?
She looks totally confused by your question as she says, well, I believe the mistress is out for the day, hunting, but I'm not sure what you mean. Disarray. The staff is doing their best as always, she says and gives like a nervous laugh. Is something not meeting your expectations?
Oh, no. It's different than I imagined it'd be.
Well, and she leans in and taps your shoulder. A lot of the common folk are quite impressed when they see the mistress's castle. It is the finest in all the land, after all.
And the mistress, is this... What's her full title and name?
You have not heard of Penny Dreadful? Oh, my dear. You must be jesting, she says and slaps your hand again.
I sure am. Oh, when do you expect her back?
Oh, well, it's... And she looks around and leans in that face of somebody who's like got some real juicy gossip, as she does, and says, well, I'm not one to guess at other people's motivations, but honestly, it's been a little hard to tell with her schedule, the way she's been acting lately. So who knows? We're all just doing the best we can. Blinks at you like, you get it.
Sure. Well, you're doing a great job. Did anything seem to cause this change in behavior? Was there anything that triggered it, or is it just out of the blue?
Oh, yes. I mean, that... Whatever she was doing, that thing, she built. And one day she said it was done, and we were all ready for it to be done. And then the next, well, she was quite strange after that. But she insists she's correcting the problem. But we haven't seen it. It's been months now. So my advice, darling, if you are here as our guest, just be patient. Give her what she wants. It's easier that way.
Oh, I'm sure it would be rude not to. You said she built a thing?
Oh, yes, she's very secretive about it, though, so I haven't seen it. But one of the groomsmen told me it's some kind of contraption. A machine of some kind. Of course, we are not allowed inside, and she is the only one with the key. He only saw it in passing when she was coming out.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Of course. If there's anything else I can do, madam, and she curtsies again. By the way, Tony, Aoife, Rook, and Gwen have been seeing Lou talk to no one in a corner, go up to a wall, and have a conversation with no one. So,
Go ahead.
Yeah, Lou just turns around after that, and she's like, I wonder what that thing was. I mean, a groomsman saw she had a key, just like talking nonsense to you, basically.
Also, you wouldn't know that she wasn't there. She seemed like a perfectly real person just in this hall to you.
Mm-hmm.
Eva's looking at Tony and back at Rook and at Gwen and then back at Lou. Narrows her eyes.
Yeah, Gwen's like, I'm sorry, Lou, you said, right? Who are you talking to? Can I just ask? Do you all understand? Maybe I'm just new, she says, and looks at everybody else. I'm not sure how this works, but,
The maid cleaning the picture? Hello?
Everyone else, yeah. It's like, Rook and Gwen are like, dude. And Rook's like, do you have enough water today? Or is this just like a new weird thing I have to get used to?
That one, yeah.
Yeah, probably that one.
At least while we're here, and she says very pointedly on the word here to Rook.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, what's your deal? Do you not turn into big wolves? Is that not like a...
No, it seems that we all each have our own special power. I'm more of a fairy.
What? You? Okay.
Wow. Eva crosses her arms and is like, yes.
I mean, having been a fae, I just really, and Gwen heard that and was like, looking back and forth. And Rook turns to Gwen and is like, listen, there's a lot going on that you don't get, and it's just easier if you just say, like, yeah, okay. And Gwen's like, okay, well, I trust you. You've been my best friend forever. And Rook's like, okay, whatever. And then...
Oh, God.
Rook is not handling it well.
Well,
okay.
I've been kind of more ghostly, which I'm feeling like could have a lot to do with this. If you guys can't see that woman who is very clearly doing a great job clearing that picture
I
frame.
can't
You're
smell
killing it.
anyone. There's no woman there, and I can smell everything now. It's horrible. So no, there's no one there. Yeah. Sorry, I think Nassim, you're muted, but get your nod of commiseration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, same dude.
Yeah, Tony, you're like, there's no one there. You could smell if there was a bloody living person, and there is nothing there. So
Yeah.
So Lou, this seems just a thing that that only you can see and interact with.
Great. I promise I'm not crazy, okay? This is a weird place, and it's just another weird thing happening. but I'm telling you that I spoke with apparently a spirit of a maid.
She waves from you from down the hall. Like, as you say that, she's like,
she just like limply waves back over there. And she has a lot of hot goss, and she like relays all the things that this spirit have conveyed to her.
Gwen goes, no, that can't be right. Penny was the name of the champion. Penny didn't own the castle. Or at least that's not what the legends say.
I think Penny is a lot more capable of different things than she may have led everyone in the town to believe.
But if this was her castle, why would she come here to fight the Shadow? Or if she was already the champion, how could the Shadow Lady have even... This doesn't make any sense.
Legends tend to glorify who's ever won or lost, or, I mean, perhaps this Lady of Shadows took over Penny's castle, and that's why she had to storm back in and try and save it, you know, without anything more concrete. It's hard for us to tell. I mean, that's why we're here, right? We're trying to make sense of everything.
So once again, Aoife, your words seem to like calm her back down. She's like, "Oh yes, that is like logical." Yes, it was conquered. The castle was conquered. She had to came back. She's like, "Okay, yeah." Before she was giving the body language, Aoife, you were like reading that for miles, like the crossed arms and the hunched shoulders, like that. And as you kind of, she's like, "Okay, yeah, that." Wow, there's a lot going on here that I just. Nobody even knew.
Well, what we can know for sure is that our greatest idea for what we need to do right now is finding more pages, and I don't see one in this hallway, so perhaps we should proceed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there were those double doors to the north or the single door at the far west side. Seem to be the only two ways to go.
I feel like double doors is going to be another hallway leading somewhere, so I want to go over to the single door first and see if it's like a closet or something.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, so you head over to this door, and as you open it up, you see a child's bedroom inside, complete with everything from like beautiful, like handcrafted, mobiles hanging from the ceiling, and like an elaborate, princess bed that's been set up, just like everything that drips like little girl's room, like spoiled little girl's room. There are so many toys and dolls arranged everywhere, and just chests full of toys and murals on the walls. And unlike everything else you've seen so far, there is not a speck of dust. There is not a dirt patch. There is nothing in this room. It has been cleaned and kept and is pristine. And Lou, you would see, resting on the bed is a little cat. A little, oh my God, just as Nassim's cat. Weird.
She knew.
And let's make a little black and white patched cat. Is just happily kind of laying in on the bed, as if there were a sunbeam coming through the window. There isn't that you can see, but the cat is clearly happy in this room. The rest of you don't see it. The cat is a ghost.
If Lou had normal eyes, they would be big, sparkling anime eyes right now. She's like, oh. And she takes a step into the room and holds out her hand to the cat.
Yeah, and the cat, reaches up and, like, throws its head into your hand. You can see the cat is a little chubby. Clearly it's very well treated and it loves people. So this was a very happy cat in life.
Lou is she can't fucking talk to animals, but she's just like holding this cat, looking around the room, trying not to disturb anything, but looking to try to see if she could find a page maybe amongst any like children's books or anything that might be in there.
Yeah. Do you all kind of walk into the room to examine what's going on? Yeah, I think and as you all step into the room, something a little weird happens. There's like a shimmering, almost like a mirage that kind of covers the room, and you see a little girl run by. And Lou, you know it's not a ghost. It's not the same way. Like the cat looks real to you. So it's not the same as that. It's more like an illusion or something. This little girl, and you can all see it. She runs into the room, and she's just this adorable little girl with like, you know, pigtails, black pigtails, these like green eyes, and she's wearing this little like dress that is so cute, and you can tell expensive from what she has. Like no expense has been spared. And out of her back you see these two feathery wings that are kind of withered, a little sad looking, and there are a couple of other like patches of weird white feathers that have sprouted from her. So changeling girl, you think, as you were looking at her. And she runs into the room, and she like throws herself behind. You can't hear it, but you see it. She throws herself like behind a chest, like she's, you know, in the middle of being chased and like hiding. She kind of peeks up over the top, and you see a gorgeous woman. Yeah, black haired, green eyes, looks, I mean, dead ringer almost for Gwen. And that woman you've seen before runs in after her towards this corner, and comes by and like picks her up, you know, finds her, and there's like the child obviously squeals in delight and spins her around the older woman, and they disappear.
Y'all saw that though, right?
Gwen's like, yeah, and she kind of puts a hand to her forehead. I just need some air, and she kind of walks into the hall.
Aoife, go talk to her. You're good at it. And she's just like holding air. She has this cat that she doesn't let go of.
Yeah. Who is just loving it and purring against you. Total lap cat. Like,
That's it. Before Aoife steps out, she'll turn to the other three of you, and she'll say, "All right, I'll go talk to her and try not to break her, but looking around, this room is clearly important. I mean, it's so..." She like wipes her hand over a wall and like looks at the lack of dust on her finger. Clean. It's odd.
I'll look around. And I'll take you with me.
speaking in the air. Rook's like, oh, this is really weird. To you, Tony?
Yeah, Tony makes big approving eyes and just walks to the opposite side of the room and starts investigating elsewhere.
Yeah, Rook will do the same. Yeah, so Aoife, you can step out of the room, and Gwen is just kind of leaning up against like one of these walls, and she's just taking really like deep breaths, like trying to like calm herself down.
And yeah, she'll close the door behind her as she steps out, so as not to, make it so that, we're alone. And she'll step over to Gwen and is like, I know what it's like to have everything you think you know of a world of your life just get tossed out like the contents of a purse onto the floor, and it's all a mess, and you gotta pick it up and somehow remember how it was organized, but no matter which way you put the stuff back in, it's never quite the same,
She kind of laughs at that, and then goes quiet again. It's like She looked just like me, right? That you saw that too, right?
I did, and you might have picked up that Lou, Tony, and myself aren't from around here. We're from someplace far different, away, a different kingdom with different rules and people who rule and cultures. And we've come here for a job, obviously, to find this book. And we think these two places might be connected magically. We know of a penny where we come from with different legends, with different stories. And you know of a penny with different legends and different stories. And we're trying to figure out how our two sets of stories make sense together. And she kind of looks to like study her face to see is this setting in?
Yeah, she's clearly overwhelmed, but she seems like a smart kid. And she's following you. I mean, if the past hour has proven anything, it's that I clearly didn't know anything, I guess, about the world, and it's just kind of
well, it's no fault of your own. People hide information and change it to suit their own needs all the time.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't even know about Rook until that, and then all the stuff that's been going on with me, and that even the fact that magic is real seemed life-changing, and now I'm just walking through this whole thing and all of you, and she looked like me, and I feel like I should remember why. I keep feeling like it's just on the edge of, but I don't know why. And I don't know this place, but I feel like I should, if that makes any sense at all.
I mean, I feel you. I think that we're all here together, that we're all finding this out, putting together these different puzzle pieces. It feels like a turn of fate. And I know it's hard, but we're here for you. And we'd want to learn and figure this out as much as you do. And she'll kind of like take her hands like very, very gently and be like, when I first discovered magic, it was like electricity. And it is changing. It changes you. It changes the world around you. And
yeah, she nods.
It's easy to feel out of control, but you've got friends.
Yeah. You're right. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to save them all. And she nods.
She'll like open,
yeah.
She'll open her arms for a hug.
Oh yeah, she hugs you. For sure. Because she's around the same age as you, and clearly she feels very comfortable, like you're someone she can relate to. She wipes her tears out of her eyes. She's like, okay, I'm all right. whatever illusions this place is gonna throw, I'm ready. I was ready for this. I'm not backing down.
She'll give her a shoulder pat, and we'll open the door back into the room to see all of you poking around and investigating.
Yeah. So you all are looking around and stuff. Honestly, like Tony, Lou, regardless of checks or not, you don't really find anything suspicious beyond like this whole thing. Everything is perfectly arranged and perfectly in order. And you notice, I mean, not in the way a child would arrange their room, as in like an adult who is like has cleaned and maintained this room would. So that's like the one like weird flag to you. But yeah, there's nothing otherwise really suspicious or anything. It's just this prized room of this clearly loved child.
Lou turns around to Tony and Rook and just shrugs. She's like, nothing. Did find a ghost cat though. Don't know what to do with that.
Nassim, you're muted again, but
Yeah, I'm glad you're making friends, Lou.
yeah, really glad you're making friends, Lou. Rook echoes.
It just rolls her eyes at the two of them and pushes past. Debbie Downers.
Rook looks at you, Tony, like, dude, I have no idea what is happening.
I'm taking the cat with me.
Oh, we should get her a ghost cat. And she'll, like, stop bothering us to clean things. That'd be good.
Lou's, like, no longer has the giant elf ears, but you still see her human ears twitch weirdly. Like, and she just, like, gives you the coldest look. Which is just horrifying without
because
any,
as
like,
a ghost,
eyes.
oh no, it's so cold. Rook shivers, and she didn't mean to.
For a moment, you just see this like horrible visage like phase over her face, and she turns away and walks back into the hallway.
Oh god, she didn't get any less scary though. That's for sure. Okay, all right. Walks out.
Well, before we pick up another ghost friend, let's go through those bigger doors.
Right. Yeah, and as you leave the room, the cat, unfortunately, will phase out of your hands, Lou, and appear once again on the bed, purring contentedly in the non-existent beam of sunlight.
In that weird ghost communication that we have in her head, she's like, "You're so cute, and I love you. Have a good afterlife."
And you hear a meow in your ghost chat, I guess, that you've established. Yeah. There's a ghost chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not invited.
Rook and Tony definitely not allowed to the ghost chat.
It's just Snapchat.
Oh yeah, it's already a ghost. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, there were the double doors to the north that you haven't stepped through yet. So do you want to investigate what is behind said doors?
Indeed.
All right. So you step into this space here, and you can maybe tell this is a master bedroom. It is easily twice, maybe 3 times the size of the child's bedroom you were just in here. And there's the large canopy bed in the center. You can see armoires. You can see a personal lavatory off to the side, and just luxurious furniture. So maybe the person who owned this castle might have stayed here. However, all of the fine decor has been ruined. You can see that several mirrors in the room, for example, have obviously been smashed. There is shards of glass just littering the floor, catching the dim moonlight that is streaming through the windows that look outside. And some of the fabrics have been ripped too, like the draping around the canopy bed. It looks like somebody had a tantrum in here, or multiple tantrums in this room. It is not pretty. And Lou, you would see there is a guy in a matching uniform similar to the one the maid was in, and he's just on the floor, desperately trying to sweep up the shards of glass. Of course, it's not doing anything in the real world, but he is cleaning, and he's just muttering to himself. He's like, she's gonna be so angry. She's so angry. He's just trying to clean furiously.
Lou turns to everyone else. She's like, "I'm going to talk to a spirit now. I'm not crazy."
Rook gives you okay fingers.
And she'll kind of bend down next to where this guy is. And
he kind of yelps a little bit as you do so. Oh my God, it's just you. Okay. I'm sorry. I mean, Who are you? Are you here to help?
Of course. And she starts like picking up the pieces of glass on the floor, and she's like, what caused all this destruction?
I mean, you know, she did it again. And of course, she never believes us when we tell her. We just can't keep replacing the mirrors, but we're running out. I don't know what she's going to do if she comes back and she sees this. God, I mean, it's like what happened to the last guy. There's only so many of us left, you know?
Oh, jeez. It's a bad work environment. She kind of like looks behind her and she's like, Aoife, do you happen to have mending?
I thought you'd never ask. I took enter from level 1, and
I figured, but I had to confirm. And she picks up these pieces of glass, and she's like, "Would you mind just putting this mirror back together?"
And she'll take out a roll of cloth from her bag and like lump all of the pieces of glass together and be like, yeah, of course. And she'll start looking around for what else could we possibly repair, because there's a sad ghost who's sad about all the broken things, this might give them a little bit of peace.
Is sad. So you take, I guess, this stack of shards that you hand with your hands, Lou, to them, because the dustpan, you can't seem to interact with that. So you indicate this pile, and Aoife, you do so. You use mending, and just this mirror appears on the wall, and it's this beautiful portrait-sized mirror that comes back together. And Aoife, as you do it and you look at it, you're like, yay, I've done it. You see the flash of a face reflected back at you that is not your own. It is this dark-haired woman with this like weird like white pale skin and these black veins kind of moving through her face, like screaming, that appears on the far side. And then you blink and it's just you reflected back.
Yeah, as soon as Aoife sees it, she reels back, like throws herself back against the wall, like stumbles over herself onto the floor, and it's like panting.
Yeah. Nobody else saw that, by the way. It was just seemed to be a delicious surprise for you as you put back the mirror, and it just.
Aoife, are you okay?
Yeah, I had a wee turn. That woman we saw, the one who looks like older Gwen here, I saw her face reflected in the mirror, but these veins of black ice crawling across her face. She puts her hands up to her eyes as if to try and wipe the vision from her eyes, and shakes her head and kind of takes a moment to shakily stand up. I'm all right, but that caught me off guard.
Shh. I'm thinking, if she looked like that woman, maybe these like stories of her being consumed by this lady of shadows are a little less literal. Maybe something happened and this aspect of her took over.
Could be. What's the spirit say?
She like turns around back at the guy and she's like, me again.
Yeah.
Stand out, say the S word out loud.
Yeah, you turn back to him and you notice that those piles of shards that Aoife picked up and like repaired, there's still piles of shards. Like when you look towards the sky and he's cleaning them up, he's like, I've got to get through so much of this. It seems that those shards, cleaning them up, are part of his torment, part of why he's still here. And you don't think there's anything you'll be able to do to help this. You remember that pain of all of those spirits. It's not going to be easy. Is that?
I think in that moment, Lou thinks once again of all those ringing like voices that she heard in the basement or down in the graveyard in the first floor, and her head just like begins to explode as they just start all coming back, and she's starting to realize, you know, putting together the unfinished business and the torment, almost like a hell that these people are in, and she just can't get the noises out of her head, and on her face she just gets this contorted look of pain, and whenever anybody speaks to her, she just can't hear them over this noise.
Yeah. Are you having a ghost meltdown to erase one of your check marks?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think you lose yourself, and it is that feeling like if you've ever, just before you pass out, like in real life, it's like the ringing in your ears and that like strange, and I think, rage overtakes you in the way it does with Poltergeist or whatever it is, like that transforms into something. So I think you are going to harm someone in this room. I will let you choose. How are you manifesting that? You could throw the furniture around. You could like attack people with like psychic scream. That might be something you could let out. What does this look like? How do you lash out against your friends?
I think that the mirror that was just mended, once again, it just shatters again, and these shards cut across Aoife's face.
Yeah. That it just explodes. And Aoife, you had already thrown yourself back and maybe like crept forward to like look at it again and be like, is this real? Like you're just seeing yourself, and like that suddenly flashes of pain, like as this thing explodes. And it's not just exploding out of nothing, it's like they are angry and like towards you as you feel your face being ripped apart by all of these shards. So you are going to absolutely take some damage here. Oh god.
Reasonable.
I rolled 2 8s.
Oh no.
All right, 16 damage as your face is carved apart by this exploding mirror. And I think you all see too, and it is very intentional. It's like a poltergeist. It's like, I can't even fucking deal with your living face as it like is like being carved from your skeleton. And it just keeps going and going and going. And the spirit on the far side of the room doesn't react to you in any way, Lou, through all this, but I think all of you see Lou goes completely transparent as this is happening, and her hair stands up almost like an electric storm as she throws her head back, and you hear this horrific scream. All of you do, and it's like you cover your ears, and it's not something that you can like stop hearing. It just like echoes through your mind. And Aoife, like the next thing beyond the pain is just like the shock, and just blood is pouring out of your face. And Gwen is screaming, and Rook is like trying to like fight Lou, and there's nothing to fight. And like that's what Tony, what are you doing in this moment?
I think I rush over to Aoife and try and like dab the blood off, like stop
it's
the
so
bleeding,
much blood,
but...
you can't even see Eva's face like through it.
I think, yeah, Aoife with her eyes closed, with the pieces of glass sticking out of her skin, and she like reaches and feels Tony like trying to like help her, but I can definitely imagine hearing Rook just trying to clamor at Lou.
like you fucking ass, like like Rook's trying to like tear at Lou's body. It's like she's like, how do I fucking fight? She's like losing it, trying to kill you for doing this.
Her face just feels hot and sticky as the blood starting to like course and cake, and she just says to Tony, she's just like, get Rook under control, I'll manage this.
Okay. Tony will change tactics, go over to Rook and try and restrain her.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yes, try and do so. You are luckily a very strong supernatural creature, as is a vampire v werewolf. So go ahead. And we'll roll this just one.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
I think you all would normally have advantage, but against each other it cancels out and it's just normal. So so grapple check. So you have to make an athletics check, and then Rook will try and make an acrobatics.
Aoife's gonna throw a cure wounds on herself to help prepare
for sure.
this.
So you take the big pieces out, glass out.
18.
Okay, all right. Rook got a 16, so you managed to restrain her, and she's like, "You just see what you fucking did? What is the fuck is that thing?" And Rook is
This is all just
freaking
part
out.
of this weird place. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but she had to do it. Okay, for whatever reason.
And like a dog that, just freaked out right in the park and you're trying to restrain, you're like, whoa, 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 dude. You feel like the heaving, rib cage against you, kind of slow as you just hold her back. She's trying to fight you at every angle, but you've got her arms and she's like, fucking hate it here. I do not like it here, she says to you.
Yeah, we don't like it either, but we're not trying to hurt each other. Remember that.
And there's like a low growl that kind of comes out of her. And she's like, fuck. She says again and just is and she's panting. And you get the feeling that maybe she has even less control over her emotional state than she usually does in this place.
Ooh, that temper.
Yeah. It's like a beast, the flip on, flip off. She's like you in that vampire state. She's pure predator. So, luckily you were there. Otherwise, Rook is also marking off one on her or erasing one on her tracker. Because if you weren't there, dude, she would have tried to kill.
Gonna give a couple of shoulder squeezes, release that tension.
She cracks her neck one way and the other. She's like, I'm good. Walks away into a corner for a second. And Gwen is crying in a corner, seeing all of that. Just slumped. Poor human girl.
Yeah, Aoife throws a level 3 cure wounds on herself, healing herself for 19, back up to a nice 24, and we'll take out a handkerchief from her pocket and with a bit of water wet it and just try to get off as much blood as she can possibly do as this white lacy rimmed handkerchief becomes
stained with scarlet.
Red.
Yeah. And you come back to yourself, Lou. In that moment, and Rook is just looking at you in the corner like, you fucking next time you go into a parking lot alone, I'm gonna be there, is the look she's giving you from the corner.
3 o'clock playground.
Lou just kind of her throat just hurts from this wail, and she's noticed as that sudden rage came down, she's got her own tears of just emotion, rawness coming down her cheeks, and she kind of reaches out to Aoife and pulls her hand back, afraid to touch her, and she's like, I didn't mean to. I wouldn't hurt you like that. Are you okay?
She still got some smudges on her face, and she, to the hand that you begin to retract, Aoife kind of reaches out and grabs it, and she's like, I'm all right, Mom.
And she gets just the tiniest little crack of a smile on the corner of her mouth, and she wraps Aoife up in a big hug, and she's like, okay, good. I'm gonna be the one who protects you. I'm not gonna do that to you again, I promise. So I know it's okay, but it's not, so sorry.
And
I'll be the one to protect you all from this one, pointing at Rook.
Rook kind of spits in a corner And if a human could have their hackles raised, that is what Rook looks
The
like.
vibe.
You know, the energy of like big dog energy is coming off of Rook. right
That
now.
pup bites.
Yeah.
Beware of dog.
Yeah, like, yo, you just fucked with my master is like the energy that is coming off of this dog right now. Which maybe a little flattering, Aoife. I don't know.
Lou is like
Oh.
compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
Who's a fairy
sheer
now?
the sheer amount of hate
Yeah.
from Rook, and she's like,
Uh-oh.
"Rook, what do I do?" I mean that, but like,
And Lou, in the middle of all this, and you feel a tap on your shoulder, and like this ghost who you totally forgot about and doesn't seem to have tracked like any of just what happened, said, "Oh, miss, I think you dropped this," and reaches out and is holding this golden sheet of paper in their hands. It glows. Again, that same way you saw that sheet of paper in the graveyard that Tony you've been holding on to. It's like glowing like that quest item, right? You can't see anything written on it, but they're like, it fell out of your pocket.
thank you.
Of course.
Hopefully,
Now, if you don't mind, I really have to get back to this before she gets
good
back.
luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
And
Gets
Lou
to
kinda,
sleep
like,
again on the floor, eternally.
turns around and goes do 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 do. But she takes the piece of paper out and she like puts it towards Tony since she already had one.
To the rest of you, it appears to just come out of thin air.
Perhaps we should try putting them in the book.
I'm all for that, but I would just like to say this did not come out of thin air. This is real, and I'm not crazy. Once again, put it in the book.
Yeah, and you, okay, and Gwen will, in the corner, she'll kind of, like, and she just throws the bag, towards you with the book. She doesn't seem to be willing to come closer to any of you at this point.
Tony will pick it up and put the pages in the missing slots.
Yeah, you do, and you reach back and you can see clearly, like at the back of the book now that you're looking at it, where pages have been ripped from the binding. Like there's just the the tattered edges of the pages, and as you put that golden page with the illegible writing in, it just it seats in that page beautifully. It's like it just whoop and like super glues right into place, and you can see the lettering become clear. It doesn't seem to be anything notable to you. It's like the steps of a ritual or something. It's just finishing the ends of it, but maybe when it's all together, it'll be something else. But clearly those 2 pages slot in, and there are 3 of those torn edges remaining. Seems like there are 3 more pages for you to find in this castle.
No more doors or entrances in this larger master bedroom, right?
So, and on this floor, it seems like you've been everywhere on this floor at this point. So you will have to go back down to the first floor and explore where else. You haven't found a way up to the 3rd floor, though. So maybe there's something else on the first floor that will have a stairway up.
Yeah, we didn't go through those original double doors. We went immediately to these. I want to go to the lectern and see if the scratches on it have reduced to only be 3.
Sure
or
do.
if there's been any changes.
You make your way back down to the lectern, and like magic, 2 of the 5, or 3 of the 5. Wait, you have 3 now. 2?
Mm-hmm.
Two are gone. I'm like, math is hard. 2 of them are gone, leaving 3 left. How weird. The question marks, though, have not gone away. What an enigma.
Double doors.
Boom, boom. All right.
Fancy double doors.
Yep. So, you continue your way to the north. And as you open up these double doors, you see a very long room. And at the center, like, of this room is a incredibly long, gorgeous, like, wooden banquet table that could easily have seated like 20 people at any point. And at the far end of the western end, there's this just, like, gorgeous, roaring fireplace. And you see around the walls there are various mounted, like, game heads and paintings all over the place. This was clearly an elaborate, like, feasting hall of some kind. You can see that there are doors to the west, there are doors to the east, and then there is a door on the northern side. So there are 3 new exits out of this room. And as you step into this room, the table is bare, as if in between great meals. So you see, like, this long, gorgeous runner, and there are some, like, candelabras of gold that are left here on this table, and hanging from the ceiling are these 4, like, gorgeous, like, absolutely outrageously ornate chandeliers that all have unlighted candles just waiting for a festive event. You can see spider webs, of course, that have, like, crisscrossed them, and dust is covering everything in this place. And Gwen, immediately, she's been obviously very quiet since she didn't want to talk to you all before. But you hear her kind of gasp as she steps into the room. And you very quickly realize why she did that. The paintings on the wall, they're all portraits of people. And a lot of them you recognize from Tailmore. You see people like Vittoria, Hugo, Lorelei lining the walls, even Rook. And then that's what seems to have upset Gwen primarily. But then you all also recognize a bunch of these portraits. You see people from Storyville, Oslo, Dorothea. It just seems to go on and on, all of these people that you recognize. And the worst of it all, maybe at least for Gwen, hanging above the mantelpiece in, like, the giant central portrait is a picture of her, a painting of her again. And she's dressed in this very, like, lord's type, crushed velvet black outfit with this, like, a little tiara, something like clearly a lord would have this, like, painting of them hanging above their home, right? And as she looks at it, she just can't seem to look away from it, and is kind of stepping closer and closer towards it. What is this? What is this place? All these people. What is this place? She looks back at you all desperately.
Lou just opens her mouth to speak and closes it again.
How could they be here? This castle's been here for hundreds of years. How could my mother be here? How could she kind of reaches up a hand like she's gonna touch the portrait above the fireplace, and she pulls back a hand as, like, this roaring flame starts to come from the fireplace here. And it's explosive. Like, it's not a normal fire. It starts to, like, obviously start to creep up the walls and around, and very quickly catches, like, the wall, the curling dusty wallpaper on the sides, and the painting, like, begins to light on fire in front of you, and you see the face of Gwen's face start kind of, like, melting and charring in the smoke, and this woman with this wild, like, black hair and these black eyes, and then the veins again, just, like, screaming painted in the portrait, seems to, like, be reaching outwards, and Gwen just, like, also screaming and backing away, and the fire just continues to spread throughout the room. And very quickly you see that, like, the room is on fire. Like, if you do not get out of here soon, it will be a very big problem for you all.
Go.
All right.
Yeah. Lou just like kind of runs past like towards the north door, I think, and grabs Gwen's arm as she runs past, pulling her away from that site.
I think Aoife seeing Aoife would run up, seeing this fire begin to lick and crawl across the walls. I think she will mark off a box on her tracker in order to summon the heavy spring rains,
Cool.
and to call forth a little small storm to put out this fire.
Cool as hell. Yes. So you summon the raw elemental nature that the Fae have compulsion over, and as fire starts to crawl at this room, this dusty room, consumed with memories and filled with all of these familiar faces, and it feels like hell at first, until the black clouds rolled in and you have this microclimate that you've established in here, and rain patters down immediately on everything, and it's that heavy downpour that's like, there's no way, not everything in this room is going to be soaked. And as you do so, you put out the fire, you put out the danger, like all of the smoke that was going to be accumulating to cause a lot of problems for you all just dissipates as you do so. Do you change at all? Because is this going back up to 3 for you? Or
Yeah, it's going back up to 3. So I think as she gathers like the smoke that's coming up for the fire and turns it against it and coalesces them into rain clouds, and I think after everything becomes drenched and soggy and you see like the paint sort of dripping off of these paintings on the wall, and you see that like Aoife herself begins to look like this almost Picasso, like everything about her begins to sort of take on this dripping oily sheen.
cool. Yes, it's like raw color is just like you've become a paint palette of the world as this happens. Yeah, and it's melting off of you, and everything like sputters out, and finally the fire dies. And in this, because you were running Lou with Gwen to try and get her out, I think, Aoife, you were kind of standing in the middle of the room when this was happening, and you can see like as the painting of this woman who was this shadowy, horrible, screaming woman has burned away. You can see there's like a space that was hidden behind, now revealed by the fire, and you've put out. And there's a glowing page seated within it.
Oh yeah, she definitely like a moth to a flame, just immediately, just unblinking, reaches in and snags it.
Another one for the book.
Presents the book for you to slide it in.
Only 2 remaining.
Lou stands there very deja vu from when we first got out of the chicken hut into the rain, even in this human form with pin straight hair, looking pissed.
How dare you!
Like,
Gwen,
2 more to go.
Yeah.
Just 2 more to go.
Gwen just says, you're not natural, none of you.
I tried to tell you. Aoife whispers out. But then again, none of this says.
I guess, yeah, that's... You are what I will become. Maybe Hugo was right after all.
Hugo is a sad, sorry man, gripping on to shreds of power to make him feel good about himself.
She looks around at the room and you and says, I'm not so sure he was the wrong one. Let's just go.
Well,
Let's just get this done.
I want to check out the room to the west of this dining hall.
So there's the west, the north, and then the east. So yeah, if you want to open up the western room real quick, you can see, you would, like, poking your head in, Lou, see, it looks like a kitchen, and maybe, like, some attached, like, a servant's wing. So just off the main dining room, this is where folks would have prepared food and maybe slept. So that's what it looks like. Totally empty to you.
Just a quick investigation, may I?
Yeah, of course.
Just in case. Oh, well, I really shouldn't be the one doing it, but whatever. That's 15.
no, you said it. You're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look around because you're opening up, just doing a quick check, right, to make sure you're not, like, missing anything. Yeah, it's as dusty and abandoned as everything else. It looks like was all kept pretty neat and tidy. So whoever was here, they ran a good house. But otherwise, yeah, you see, like, you throw open another room, it's like cots and stuff. It's pretty basic servants fare. It looks a lot like barracks you've stayed in before. Pretty minimal.
Mm-hmm.
But personal possessions have been removed. This place has clearly been abandoned for some time.
All right. We'll close that room off.
Yeah.
Not missing anything in there, I guess.
Yeah. There was the door to the east that looked identical to this door. And then the door to the north looks a lot like the same door that kind of led up to stairs before.
I say east.
Yeah.
East. All right. So you open up the eastern door and, you go to open it up and you realize this door is padlocked with several heavy chains.
Oh.
The first one you've encountered that has been locked.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Interesting.
Human Lou just kind of saunters ahead of everyone and pulls a pin out of her hair, and her little, like, top bun that she always has just, like, comes out. She's like, "May I?"
I don't mind if I do.
Gestures with a hand.
Go ahead and roll that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm guessing just butter in your hands.
That's basically 18 plus 7, so 25.
These locks, and there are multiple, but they are honestly, like, they're good locks. They're nice quality locks. Probably the best that this time period could, like, afford. You don't think anyone of this generation could be able to lock them, but oh god, like, these were the ancestors to the hard locks you have to pick. So they just fall apart in your hands. Boom.
Through the concentration, you just hear Lou mumbling, "Not good enough, bitches."
Antique motherfuckers. As you move through. Yeah, it takes you like a minute to pick 3 of these locks that have been, like, put on this door.
She very quickly coils the top of her hair back up and sticks the pin back in, and she's like, "After you."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, I'm gonna go first. You're soft.
I'm incorporeal. Yeah.
I feel terrible. I will die if need be.
I'm already parked out, I think.
She will open the door.
Yeah. So you do.
I will die more if need be.
Yes. And the room you see in front of you is confusing. It is hard to pick out exactly what this is because there's so many strange things in it. There appears to be some kind of large central contraption in the middle of the room, and it's got a lot of, like, levers and buttons and things you would recognize, but it's, like, into this thing of steel and wood, and there are tubes, and You wouldn't know what wires are. Like, you wouldn't have seen this, but, like, imagine any movie of, like, Frankenstein's monster, what that laboratory looks like is kind of what you're seeing here. And to make matters worse and more confusing, it looks like most of it has been smashed or attacked. So you're seeing the ruins of whatever this machine was that is in this room. You see, glass shards all over the floor and, like, sheared pieces of metal and all of this chaos that is surrounding this long table that's been laid out in the center of the room. And you can see, like, these metal straps were attached to it at some point. Some of them have been ripped apart, ripped off. You also see these little chambers, like almost like closets, like on one far side, like somehow constructed this. And on the western wall, there's a long row of, it looks like work tables that have just shredded like pieces of paper and scattered like glass, like from beakers and notes and all kinds of whatever. So this looks like a laboratory with a lot of these different machines that have just been obliterated or destroyed.
This must be the contraption that the maid was talking about. And Lou will step in and go over to the work table where there's all these plans and everything and take a look over at them.
Yeah. Are you all stepping into the room?
Yeah, Aoife certainly will.
So as you head in, something very similar happens to like what happened in that bedroom you were in before, in the child's bedroom, where it was like that shimmering mirage feeling. And you look behind you and you hear like a pounding on the door, like just like somebody throwing their entire weight against it. And the door is closed in this moment, though you swear you left it open. And you hear a "Mom, stop! No, Mom!" And like the pounding on the door, and like you hear the sounds of electricity moving through the room, like this, like something. And you look around, and the machine is whole in whatever this vision is. And there, again, these little chambers, and there's somebody laying, that woman, again, without the black veins, without anything, just that beautiful woman lying on that table, like strapped down, and the sounds and the screaming on the far side, and it all goes away, and it's the ruins again.
Ooh.
So yeah, you can look, Lou, investigate the tables. Go ahead and give me an investigation check, because it's all fucking disaster.
I will help.
Yes.
Oh, that wasn't better. Let's see. Dirty 20.
Okay. Yeah. You look around and you're searching under things and over things, and it's... You also wonder why, like, if somebody trashed this place, like, why would they lock it up after? Like, it seems weird. It's just all so weird. But you look and you open drawers and you bust through a couple locks, security locks on these things, and you open up one of these top drawers and you find a golden page sitting there.
One more.
Just one more.
One more page.
Yeah. I don't think Rook or Gwen have much to say about what they've just seen, because, damn. This is weird. This is
I don't even know what to say about this shit.
This is weird science. This is not even something like in your fantasy world that, like, in our world, the planes, this is not normal. Like, in the mortal realm, like, this is, like, technology beyond. Yeah, this is walking into Frankenstein.
There's nothing on, like, the blueprints paper or whatever that give any indication as to what this machine is supposed to have done.
It looks like intentionally a lot of that stuff has been destroyed or shredded.
Redacted.
Redacted.
Gotcha.
Indeed.
Sir, you said it was like the vision of the woman that was like on a table somewhere, as part of the machine.
In the center, kind of like that center. Yeah, table. Those connected all those tubes, and those tubes were connected to those little weird chambers that were kind of like these little closet rooms. Yeah. So you can look at it and
nothing left.
Yeah, I mean, you see, the flat, like kind of medical table. And a lot of those tubes have been like severed from where that was. And they were clearly restraints that were like held down. Some of them have been ripped off. So they're the remains of that for sure.
Okay.
This is beyond anything I can understand, even as a tinkerer. So I guess we've got one more door that we know of. And they're big ones, so they're important.
All right. You want to head up to the north through that door?
Yeah.
Okay. So you open the door and very quickly you see it's a set of spiral stairs. Like the ones you've been up before that must lead to that third level you were not able to access before.
Let us be off.
All right. So you make that tight spiral and head up to the top of this. And you're walking for quite a bit, so this must be leading you to the third floor. And when you get there, you open up the door and you see a study identical to the one you have seen in your dreams so many times. But now, as you're looking at it, not only can you see the wear and tear you were starting to see in that last dream, you can see the full extent, like behind you. You know, in dreams, how you can only see kind of one view of a room. Now you get to see the 360 of everything else that is happening. So amongst all the tall stacks of books and stuff, these chalkboards just line the walls, and you can see that there is writing all over the chalkboards and other pieces of the wall, like these formulas and these strange like magical ritual symbols, equations that were going up all over the place. It covers every inch of this room, and sometimes they are written on the floor where the space was like run out on the bottom. And as you walk into the room, you see a woman in a very pale imitation of that lovely dress that woman in your dreams was wearing, kind of worrying over some books, fussing over pieces of parchment as you come into the room. And as you step inside, she turns around and you see Gwen, the older version, the one with silver in her hair, turns around and looks at you all and says, okay, you're here. And Gwen just, you know, the deep inhale and the fall back against the wall as she sees herself. And the older Gwen says, yes, of course, you're here. Yes, of course. Well, would you sit? She says, and indicates towards the ruined chairs that were so close to the places you sat as children.
Lou just like jaw drop, just like booty falls into the chair, like she would have needed to sit either way after this reveal.
Tony is like ushering young Gwen,
who's
to, like,
she's lost her shit, so she needs somebody to absolutely sit her down. Staring at an older version of yourself is never a comfortable thing. So this woman, she turns towards you, yes, and kind of fussily indicates for you all to sit. And she says, I assume you know why you're here? You made it this far after all. No one else has made it this far? Or no, you don't?
Muted.
Yeah, I think we have an idea of what we're doing here, but we don't really know what you're doing here.
Yes. What am I doing here? Yes. And she looks around the room and pulls like one of these chalkboards against the wall, and you can see now it's one on wheels, like you might have in a classroom. And she wheels it over and says, "Okay, and starts erasing all the stuff on it, and it's that powdery mess. And she goes, "Oh no," and like takes a rag and is trying to wipe it off, like that very nervous like substitute teacher, who's like, "Okay, this has to be perfect," and it takes her way too long to do it. And she finally accomplishes it and breathes out and says, "Okay, how shall I begin? Once upon a time, there was an archfey," and she writes archfey in chalk on the board, "who had a daughter that she loved very much," and she writes daughter on the board in chalk. "But the archfey," she points with the chalk, "knew that as long as she was what she was, the daughter," and she points at the chalk, "could not ever be safe. Because the archfey," taps again, "magic was not okay for anyone else. So the archfey," as she taps, "decided she needed to change. So she found a book." A book, and she writes down book in big letters, "that was full of secrets." She writes down secrets on the board. And the book, tap, 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 was full of secrets. Tap, 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 tap. "Great and terrible secrets," she says as she tap, 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 taps again. "And so the archfey, tap, tap, used the book, tap, tap, to build a machine." And she writes machine on the chalkboard and then tap, taps. "And with the machine, tap, tap, she would change what she was from an archfey, tap, tap, into something else." And she underlines the whole, she like circles the whole thing. "But when she used the machine, tap, tap, the thing she thought was not what she became. And she became," and then the archfey writes like a dot, or this woman writes dot, dot, dot on the side, "whatever it is she is now." Kind of circles that again. She like points the chalk at Gwen sitting on the couch. And Gwen just looks like she's shaking her head like, "No, no, no, no." And then she points the chalk at herself. And then she points the chalk like somewhere else. She became something else. A broken, and she writes broken on the chalkboard and underlines it, "thing." And her tap, tap, tap daughter tried to stop her, but because she was a tap, tap, tap thing, and she looks at the board and is like looking at all her work and is like, broken. She underlines it again on the board. "Maybe I can," and she like pushes the chalkboard out to the side, and she pulls another one out, and she's like, "and she was a broken thing that had to," and as she's writing it, and she read the book and it just didn't work out quite the way she thought, and she's scribbling the whole time as she's saying it, and there's no end and there's no peace, and so if we put together this broken thing and the daughter, and she steps away from it and looks up at the chalkboard, and she's written kill me, please, on the board. And she kind of puts the chalk down. And she looks at you all like a teacher at the end of her lecture. She goes, "You've been very good. Very good. No one has made it this far. So, good. I am willing to take questions after a short break," she says, and looks at you with like water in her eyes. And that is where we're going to end the episode for today.
Fuck! Oh, that was a lot. Whew.
Thanks, Celeste. I hate it.
I need to like rewatch that, re-experience that again.
I'm sorry. We're earning our content warnings a lot this episode. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. I think next episode will be like the finale of the spring arc, which is, one of the 4 arcs that we are having. So we're going to be coming to a head of this. So thank you everybody so much for joining us. As always, absolute pleasure having you here. We super duper appreciate you being here, supporting the channel. Please do, if you're watching wherever you are, subscribe, like, spread the word. If you are listening, please do leave a rating, review. Just let folks know about the show and to check it out. It is absolutely the best way to grow our audience, and we depend on all of you. We don't pay for marketing anywhere else, so this is your word of mouth makes or breaks this show. So thank you to all of you who have shared, and thank you. Yeah, speaking of thank yous, we always like to take some time at the end of our shows to thank our Patreon donors. Patreon is an amazing website where you can go and support creators you love. You can donate at multiple tiers on our platform just by going to patreon.com/adventuremaidens. You can give either a one-time donation or you can set up a reoccurring monthly donation. We have a bunch of different tiers. I think $1, $5, $15, $25, $50. We've got a lot of different options for whatever you can afford, and that is our only source of income. So we really rely on folks like you to consider this content worthy of a little bit of your paycheck. So yeah, we love to take the time to thank our $25 and our $50 tiers, so our highest tier donors, who are just like amazing, incredible, wonderful people. So I just want to say a huge thank you to Cody Becker at Cody Rolls Horror on Twitter.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Curry.
You know him, you love him. It's Muffin at the one on Drury Lane.
Thank you so much, Nissa McKinnon.
Thank you, Richie113 from our Discord.
And our Mary Farah's drinking mates, Chris, thank you.
Big ups to Markali.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Babel, thank you.
Tony, thanks. Thank you.
Hell yeah, Sheepus Gnome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben, you lovely human, at aka Flower Crown Gaming / our Wikimaster. You beautiful soul. Thank you. And Sage, while the people are stewing over that episode that we did to them, what can they go to watch in the meantime? I'm sorry. That we did. I'm sorry. I did it. I did a ghost mansion. I did a haunted mansion. Sorry.
Oh, it's so good. I love it. So next Wednesday, you can catch our 6th session out of our 10 session season of the Gilded Shadows, our Urban Shadows campaign, in which we have a spectacular cast of fine folks who bring you just an incredible selection of characters, all the way from cyberpunk pop star to Angel, who's the the protector of artists, to magic items dealer, to Immortal, who is trying to forge a new lifetime. It is incredible. And as always, you can check out our backlog of our episodes on our YouTube, where we have all of our campaigns conveniently logged in playlists for you. But yes, tune in next week at 6:30 p.m. PST, as we're just a little bit more than halfway through this fun little campaign.
Heck yes. All right. I think that's all the business, right? We did it. All the business. So
Outros.
Oh yeah.
Sign-offs.
Yeah. Outros. Yeah. So thanks for stopping by. I have been your storyteller, your DM, your haunted mansion tour guide, Celeste Gunowich.
Hello, I'm Katie, and I've been playing your poltergeisty rogue drow, Blueberry Sa.
Love it.
I'm Nassim, and I was playing your half-orc fighter who's just done. Let's be done. Betonia Silvertail.
And we're your Heart of the Bards, Aoife Flannery, played by me, Sage.
Yes, everyone. So thank you for sticking with us through a dark episode. And then next time, I think we're going to see a resolution to this little arc of
God, I hope it's a good one.
I'm going to let it shine.
Knock on wood.
So,
It's not shining.
This little arc of mine, I'm going to let it shine. It's going to be great. So until then, everybody, Sorry, everyone. Oh my God,
You're way too
I
rocked.
killed it.
Way
I've
too
killed
rocked.
it. I'm
by
sorry.
that.
Didn't
I'm sorry, everybody.
there. What
We'll see.
happened?